I'm not seeking forgiveness, nor am I looking to make excuses.
This is like the start of the downfall of his like whole life here. 400 viewers on average. Damn. Yeah, dude, that sucks. I feel bad for him. How many of you guys know Call Me Carson? Back in the day, he was pretty popular just a few years ago. He was kind of one of the bigger creators in like the gaming, funny man, Minecraft space. You know what I mean? He's been on my mind a little bit recently. And I've been thinking about the fact that just a few years ago, he was so big. And now, after all the drama happened with him and the allegations, which by the way were kind of false, it seems like his main channel has kind of died a little bit. And I kind of feel bad for him. But I also think that perhaps part of the reason his main channel died is because he kind of came up with a whole squad of creators like Jay Schlatt and whatever else. Well, the Lunch Club, is that what they were called? He came up with a bunch of these creators. And then when all those guys kind of dumped him during the drama, whether that was justified or not, his channel suffered as a result because a lot of his channel was built off of the collaborations, right? Almost every video he did was kind of a collaboration with someone else. And so when he got canceled and those people dropped him and he came back to making content, I think his channel kind of died because of the absence of those collaborations. For those people that still would in his videos, he may have been fine, but it seems like his channel somewhat relied on the collaborations of other people, and once those were gone, he just kind of died a little bit. Not to say he wasn't funny on his own, but when all the people you collab with ditch you, I mean, how's that gonna work? You know what I mean? Weren't his views down before the drama? I think a little bit, but not to the extent that they are now. I mean, he's not in like poverty level views right now, but you know, for a channel with almost 3 million subs, he should be doing a little better. If we go to the oldest videos, like 4 years ago, his videos were getting crazy views, like 7 million, 11 million. And every single one of these videos was a collab with a bunch of other creators where they would like sit on Discord.
Oh my god! That's violent. Holy shit. That's amazing. That's horrendous. I want.
In this video, which is totally like some of the most simple content out there, I mean, literally just sitting in a Discord call with some friends, reacting to some memes and content and stuff like that, has 7.5 million views. And I think people just kind of felt like they were, you know, living this parasocial bond with Call Me Carson. They got to like experience all these friends in a Discord call reacting to stuff, making jokes. And I don't think the videos were that funny, but the sort of relatability of that helped it. And I think this is his last video that happened before the drama happened. Now that he's back, obviously he's making content. This was his comeback video that he posted a year ago now, August 25th, 2021. This is a year after he came back.
It's been a while.
Or sorry, we're a year after he came back now, but this is when he came back, this video.
It's been a while. This isn't going to be your average YouTuber apology video, and I'm not going to make it long and drawn out. I've learned a lot this past year. I'm not seeking forgiveness, nor am I looking to make excuses. I'm sure some of you are expecting some long drawn out video, but I have no intentions of doing that. I'd much rather just tell you what I can do in the future. For the next year, I plan to donate 100% of my profits to charity, with a different charity being the focus each month. Now, before you start thinking of this as an excuse, sweep things under the rug, that's not what this is. I'm doing this because I want to turn a negative situation with a lot of eyes on it into something positive, help a lot of people. I'm going to officially come back to streaming on September 1st at twitch.tv/CallMeCarsonLive, and I'll go into...
And I believe, as far as I know, he never like officially addressed all the allegations against him. I believe the worst of which was that he was 19 years old and he sexted a 17-year-old, which is obviously just like whatever, like who cares, you know what I mean? But his response when he came back was just like, I'm not even going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm just going to donate all my money to charity for the next year.
A little bit more detail about how this year of charity will work. I'm not going to answer any specifics of the situation with me, nor am I going to do anything to cause any more drama than there already is. Genuinely, I just want to do my own thing and raise money for some people that need it more than me.
I want to watch this old Sunny V2 video from a year ago. And this video came out, let's see here, this is May 6, 2021. Call Me Carson's comeback video was August 25th, 2021. So there's a significant gap between these, right? And I want to watch the Sunny video and just kind of go over the drama and what happened, you know, years later, and just see what happened, right?
You never know. You might be like a broken man in your late 20s. Like,
you think?
I mean, most YouTubers are, so.
He was basically with his underage fans, you know, sending eggplant emojis. They were sending back peach emojis.
19 and 17 isn't illegal. It's only illegal on Twitter.
So recently, Carson has been facing some very serious allegations that he was soliciting pictures from an underage fan of his.
And I kind of hate the phrasing of that in the new stuff, like an underage fan, because that makes it seem like there's a huge kind of gap. And it's not necessarily the fault of like Scarce or Keemstar who say underage fan, because technically the fan was underage. But the problem is that, you know, when you hear that, it's implied like an age gap of like 4 or 5 years, which would be up that age, right? If there was like a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old, I'd say that's probably up. But in this case, it was Call Me Carson was 19, the girl was 17. Like, that's not, it's just not that big of a deal. It's not. It's 2 years. Even though she technically was underage, you know what I mean?
YouTube creator and internet influencer in order to manipulate fans.
This could honestly just be the end of Call Me Carson. Like, this could honestly actually be like a genuine cancellation of Call Me Carson.
At one point in time, Carson was what many considered to be a king of the internet. He had an incredibly loyal, almost
I see what you did there. Okay, his name's Carson King. I see what you did there, Sonny. Okay, very wise. But I don't think you can slip it past me. I pick up on all your subliminal messaging in your scripts, okay? I know.
Cult following, a differentiated public image as a nerdy yet confident introvert, and arguably one of the most solid reputations across the content creation sphere. But only 4 months ago, all of this seemed to change. With the assistance of the drama community, including individuals like Keemstar, Scarce, and almost every commentary channel on YouTube, Carson's content creation journey would come to a halt. Since completely disappearing off the internet 4 months ago, Carson has barely said a word. Where did Call Me Carson go? Why has Carson decided to avoid the drama instead of facing it front on? Do these 4 recently posted updates hint at a return? Or is it simply Carson finding an outlet to troll while remaining out of the public eye? This video will explain every single event leading up to the sudden disappearance of Carson King, so we can ultimately answer the question of what happened to Call Me Carson.
So I guess even then this was like a retrospective on what happened, but I guess now a year later we're gonna have the benefit of hindsight. Keena in chat says it's still technically illegal and we shouldn't normalize stuff like that. 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds still don't have much in common. You retarded? A 19-year-old and 17-year-old don't have that much in common. People who are 2 years apart. That's really stupid, I think. I think that's very foolish of you to say. The problem with someone who's 15 dating someone who's 19, apart from just the fact that the age gap alone, is the fact that there is a huge experience gap there, right? Like someone who's just kind of started high school is 15, versus someone who's 19 is probably in college. But if you're finishing high school, you're 17 years old. I mean, you're already doing college prep stuff, and then you're someone in college who's like at the beginning of college, you're 18, 19. I don't think that should be a huge issue. You know, case by case basis is important, I guess, but I really don't think there's anything that wrong with a 17-year-old and 19-year-old dating, sexting, whatever. Like I don't think it's a huge issue. I mean, you can say, you know, legally maybe if they exchange pictures, maybe that's illegal, but I doubt they'd get in trouble for it, to be honest with you. A 19-year-old and a 17-year-old. Maybe I could be wrong on that. Maybe there are cases where that's happened, but I highly doubt anything would come of that in terms of the legal system. And in terms of societally, like I don't think a college freshman and a high school senior dating is an issue.
Carson would upload videos such as Carson's Choice and Minecraft multiplayer adventures.
Yo, what's up guys? I'm playing a little Minecraft again.
But due to his young age, the poor quality and lack of story within the videos, they wouldn't even touch the surface on the YouTube algorithm. And Carson will remain as a barely recognizable prepubescent teen with a following of less than 50 subscribers. But despite the lack of following, Carson enjoyed making the content and always seemed to have that vision for being YouTube famous despite his young age.
And this is the thing, like you see Carson doing stuff from way back in the day. You see like his early content and you think like, oh, well, if you watch his content then you probably think he'd never blow up, but just sheer perseverance is something that will get you really far. I mean, if you look at my old videos on YouTube, if you look up like Turkey Tom first video, I mean, the video is just abysmal in quality. I'll look it up right now. Turkey Tom first video. Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Phineas.
Like this was one of my, I don't think this was my literal first video, but the fact that like 5-6 years ago, I think 6 years ago now, this is the content I was making. Maybe 7 years ago. When was it? 2016 this would have been, so I guess 7 years ago. But even still, like this was my old content. This is what it looked like. And like no one seeing this content, like if this came out now, you would think that this wouldn't go anywhere. But sheer perseverance is important, I think, with YouTube. It's really about consistency. It's about being motivated. It's about always trying to improve. We all have to start somewhere, but if you give up, you're literally never going to succeed. You'll never have a chance at succeeding. But I mean, someone like Carson, who he was clearly showing like 10 years ago as making content, and you wouldn't think it would be anywhere. Silver Star says, Tom, I definitely don't have anything in common with a 17-year-old as a 19-year-old, but I was always an introvert weirdo, so generally my rule is to be very cautious in a 2-year age gap. Like, what do you mean you don't have anything in common? Like, you don't have music taste in common, you don't have like life experience in common, you think that 2 years is such a massive gap that there's no possible way you could have anything in common. And I'm not saying that to justify like relationships like with a huge age gap, like files, just because a pedophile and a 13-year-old like the same movie doesn't mean that they should be together. But like it's literally only a 2-year gap. Like it's not such an insane experience gap that you couldn't date someone and have that not be an issue. I really don't think 2 years apart is a big deal. When you get to like 4 years, that's probably a problem, yeah, but 2, really? 19 to 17? I don't see it.
And perhaps with the assistance of his early obliviosity, Carson would do something bizarre. He'd create 3 similar but separate channels to make videos on. Blue Creepers 1, as previously mentioned, Gamercraft 157, and Icebox Carson, spreading regular content across all 3.
Guys, what's up? Carson here, back with the Minecraft challenge.
Throughout 2011 and 2012, Carson would upload more than 130 videos across these 3 channels.
And see, none of these videos have views at all. 70 views, 176 views, 149 views, and these are 8-year-old videos. Nobody was watching him. He just likes the process of making videos. He wanted to succeed. He wanted to get there. He wanted to be a YouTuber. And it takes a long time to learn and get better at it and figure out how to make content properly. But if you do it, then it probably will pay off for you. If you give up now, you're never going to get anywhere. One problem a lot of people have is that when they start YouTube, they have a million projects. They want to do it once and start like 5 channels. I think that it's important to try to focus on one thing at a time a little bit to an extent, or like one kind of brand at a time. Like, okay, well, if you have 2 channels, one of them is for VODs, one of them is for videos, and post stuff to both those channels, right? But I think that trying to make a bunch of different content at once in like 8 different kind of styles and doing that for an extended period of time is probably a bad idea. You're just experimenting them, whatever. But in general, I would say it's important to try to focus on one thing at a time and get like the best content out in one vein that you possibly can. It's good to kind of hone in your skills in that way, you know what I mean?
But Carson didn't care that he was gaining less than 1,000 subscribers a month. He instead valued the growth in comparison to 2011 when he was gaining 0 subscribers a month. Carson just continued to push through the mud. And in May 2018, the Call Me Carson channel would finally get its big break.
You guys like Garfield?
Oh, I love Garfield. Show me some Garfield. I don't like Garfield all that much.
Oh my.
On the 11th of May 2018, Carson would upload a video to his channel titled DeviantArt is Not Safe.
And that's the thing, I mean, after working on videos for so long, I mean, we're like 5-6 years into his content creation career, quote unquote, at this time, right? Finally managed to figure out something that worked. And like, I would say that he probably didn't regret the 5-6 years of content creation up until that point, right? To get to the thing that finally really kicked off his channel, you know? You know, this video obviously is about the downfall of someone's career, but I'm finding it somewhat inspirational for people looking to make content, you know? I mean, once again, if you want like decent advice for how to start a YouTube channel, what I used to do is just go through people's old social blades, like I Hate Everything or like Leafy, and be like, okay, how often do they upload? What were their thumbnails like? How many views were they getting at the time per video? How many subscribers were they gaining? And that would just kind of give me an idea of like a path to mimic, you know what I mean? And it worked. That's what I did, and it definitely worked. So, you know, if you want to make content in the same vein as like, let's say me, then just go to my channel and look at my old videos and see kind of the progression of how I got, you know, where I was on channel milestones and stuff like that. And obviously you can't precisely copy someone's career video for video, but
after seeing the success of his DeviantArt is Not Safe video, Carson would go on to upload a video titled Invading Discord Servers, and to say that this video was hilarious would be an absolute understatement.
Watch out, gamer. I'm close to leveling up and you look like just enough XP.
The hilarious nature of this video caused Carson to gain a whopping 158,000 further subscribers in July 2018, only 2 months after he would gain his first bit of traction, ultimately revealing 2 main things to Carson. Firstly, that his videos were finally of high enough quality to maintain an audience, and secondly, that he should continue to pump out videos with a similar style.
True. Listen, another thing some YouTube people do, which this is good advice for, is like, they get big and then they're like, okay, how else can I experiment to like get my channel like even more viral? And it's like, okay, you should experiment a little bit, but if your channel blows up from one video, maintain some level of consistency within that vein and slowly deviate to other content rather than like trashing your channel by uploading like, okay, my video reacting to a stupid Discord video blew up. Now time to upload strange trap metal. Now time to upload my song. Like, dude, no one cares about your song. Make videos.
It would be in 2020 that Carson's fame would begin to turn into somewhat of a burden for him.
Am I cute?
Are you cute?
And this is where you can tell that it gets depressing because of the depressing music.
Yeah, you're cute.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, this girl, dude. This girl. The funny thing about this is I remember watching, and they met on the, was it the Rajshiller, Call Me Carson. He met her on the Rajshiller. This is like the start of the downfall of his like whole life here. She's right there, Caterino. This is like a dating show where all these girls are competing to be with Call Me Carson, okay? And there's this part when Greek God X calls in, and he basically is like, listen, she seems nice, she seems cool, but that girl has been around. She denies the allegation, but it's real. It's real, and we found that out very clearly. They're like, this girl's been around, and he doesn't believe it. And when I say been around, obviously I mean she's promiscuous. She sleeps with a lot of dudes, and he didn't believe it. But she ended up winning, and they kept in contact. This is like the first drama I remember hearing about from Call Me Carson, and I think I made this tweet at the time. It was like, our brother just became black-pilled, guys.
Carson had begun to date popular Twitch streamer Caterino in late 2019, early 2020, and in the beginning, everything seemed to be going well.
Do you think I have Disney princess eyes?
You have very pretty eyes.
And the thing about this is she was like a nobody before this stream. Like nobody knew who she was. And because of this, she started hanging out with Carson, and it like skyrocketed her career a little bit, you know?
However, many people who barely even know who Carson is are aware that this relationship would go on to end in somewhat of a catastrophe. In March 2020, after dating for approximately 3 months, it would be revealed that Katerina had been hiding some skeletons in the closet that she had been keeping from both Carson and her audience.
Carson gave her everything, and then she goes and cheats on him with Fritz.
Crazily enough, Katerina was actually in another relationship at the time while dating Carson, and had also been cheating on each of her partners with a long list of other confirmed and...
So she was officially dating this guy, and then she was kind of dating Carson, and then she was also hooking up with Fitz, and then there was another person she also hooked up with, I guess. There's a lot of, rumors about whatever went down here, but I believe the confirmed number that she gave, which I would probably believe, to be honest with you, is Katerina Tumad interview. I think it's 4.
People are saying there's like 13 dudes, 14 dudes. What's the real number?
4.
4. Okay, so there was 7.
You gotta love how she says 4 and he puts 36 on screen. And this situation, okay, this situation was kind of the end of Katerina's career a little bit. I don't know if she gets viewers on Twitch right now. If she does, it's definitely not a huge following, but she was huge. She was like blowing up for a while because of what happened. Yeah, so 70,000 followers, 600 likes. I mean, it could be worse. 300 likes, it could be worse. She's not totally irrelevant, but definitely she kind of lost her chance. And I think that stuff like this kind of controversy, especially if you're a girl, or not to pull the sexism card, but I think that when you're a girl, being perceived as a cheater is worse than being a guy perceived as a cheater online. And I'm not saying that's because of misogynistic guys or whatever, but I kind of sound like a lib right now, guys. But definitely, I mean, if we had found out that Carson was cheating with a few girls, I think that he would get less backlash than her. I think part of it also for her is just the fact that she blew up. She blew up in the first place from the supposed dating of Carson, right? And then when it turned out she was cheating on him, obviously it was a big deal. Tom, women like her will always be relevant. She can just show off her body and do simps. I know you think that. I don't think she's that relevant though. I mean, I look at her account, 300 likes is not like insane. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not like the most amazing thing in the world ever. But I don't think she's in a position where she even does OnlyFans or anything like that. I mean, obviously she wears tight fitting clothes, but that's, every girl does that. I don't think she's gonna always be relevant. I think that she had a chance to become truly one of like the bigger celebs of her time. That controversy kind of ruined it for her a little bit. That's what I think happened there.
Katerina would then post what you might call a classic YouTuber apology, stating that she was in the wrong and that she was sorry for cheating on Carson.
I still let him on and ended up hurting Carson and my boyfriend at the time very badly in the process.
Which resulted in a hilarious ratio of 500.
Yeah, I remember she got so much for this video. And I remember, one of the quotes from it was that she said she was like in a dark place or something, which obviously was a very memeable quote. I think she later said she was disassociating was the reason why she cheated, and maybe that is part of it. I don't really know, but obviously in a lot of people's eyes, I saw that as like an excuse when obviously it's not.
However, within less than a year, Carson would find himself embroiled in yet another controversy, ultimately leading to his disappearance from the internet.
This is a very important story. Today we are going to be talking about one of the most beloved Minecraft YouTubers known as Carson.
On the 5th of January 2021, YouTubers Travis and Hugbox, who are part of Carson's Lunch Club group, would come forward and explain to Keemstar that Carson had been texting a 17-year-old girl in 2019.
So this is the confusing part for me. I don't really know what the whole issue was and why that needed to even be leaked to Keemstar, that he was texting a 17-year-old. Talked to Hugbox about this a little bit. I don't know why this needed to be brought out. I mean, because he's 19, she's 17. Maybe they were concerned about the legality of it, but I don't know. I just kind of don't think it needed to even be out there in the public. You know what I mean?
Had admitted to this via Discord, so the proof was certainly...
I did trade news with people under the age of 18, which is very bad. Always key details Keem will purposely leave out to make it look bad. Of course, was that when you were also under 18 or were you of age?
Yeah, and Carson was unable to refute.
He says I was 19. I mean, he was honest about it. I don't know, a 19-year-old dating a 17-year-old. It's maybe because his audience was so young, they became so concerned with it because they're just like, when you're 12, the idea of a 12-year-old dating a 14-year-old seems crazy to you. Maybe when you're 12, if you're imagining like a 17-year-old dating a 19-year-old, you're like, that's so up. But also, what was wrong with the girl who accused him? What was her problem? I mean, did she just regret it afterwards? Like, it had to be consensual given that there wasn't some insane age gap, right? And I remember at the time people talked about the power dynamic. That was a big talking point about it, but I don't know how valid that complaint is, to be honest.
The reality of what was happening to him. Other members who were also part of the Lunch Club, such as Jay Schlatt, would post a video explaining that he had been aware of the situation for some time.
He explained that he had exchanged photos with the 17-year-old while he was 19, and that he was done with it. He hadn't done it in months. He was ashamed of what he had done.
And that he was unimpressed with Carson's actions.
From a business standpoint, when you're someone like Jay Schlatt, who's probably concerned about the sort of business of it, I remember at the time thinking that video was really bad and kind of throwing him under the bus. But honestly, in retrospect, I kind of think it's like, I don't know, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like, Carson comes to you and tells you he's not going to do this anymore. Obviously, whether or not you think sexting a 17-year-old when you're 19 is good or bad, that obviously poses a threat to your business, like, you know, sexting fans, especially when these people are so family friendly, right? So I kind of understand that. I kind of understand Jay Schlatt's position on that, being somewhat disappointed, right?
Carson would lose a massive 270,000 subscribers following the release of the information, which was approximately 10% of his subscribed fan base. After making a tweet on the day before the release of the allegation stating, "If you spell your name wrong on an IQ test, does your score get knocked down?" Carson would go ghost on all social media.
That was it for him. He realized he was low IQ and he just couldn't take it anymore. He just decided to leave. That was it.
And hasn't been heard from besides a few recent appearances, which will be discussed in just a minute. The most unimpressive part about the whole drama was simply how Carson dealt with it. Or you might say how he didn't deal with it.
You know, since the drama, he hasn't said anything. He hasn't made any public statements, any apologies, literally anything. He just went dark and left the platform.
True, and this is the thing. If Carson had said something about it, like if he had just said like 19-year-old sexting a 17-year-old isn't a big deal, I'm obviously not going to do it again, but I don't think that I did anything that morally wrong. Like if he had said that, like he probably would have been like insanely successful at fighting back the drama, right? But instead he just kind of mentally, I guess he couldn't handle it. And I don't necessarily blame him for that when you have like hundreds of thousands of people, millions being mad at you for something that's probably not that bad. Like I understand why he kind of dipped, but at the same time, like he kind of himself in that, right? If he had responded at the time and been like, all of you, you know, my fake friends or whatever, maybe he could have come out on top, but he decided not to do that.
We talked about this in the video discussing how Logan Paul saved his reputation after the Japanese forest video. Give it a little bit of time, acknowledge it happened, then frame the whole scenario as a stupid mistake and not such a big...
True. Sonny seems to have a good head on his shoulders about how to deal with controversy. He seems to really understand it just from watching so many of these different videos about stuff like this.
But for Carson, he perfected the part where he gave it a little bit of time, but instead of coming back and framing it as a, yeah, whatever, it was just a stupid mistake, he clearly let the whole thing consume him to the point where a successful return is becoming less and less likely. However, I could be completely wrong, as from numerous comments on Carson's videos, it actually seems as though his fans are almost yearning for his return, and perhaps many have forgiven him after a bit of time has passed, best summed up by this comment. It says a lot about Carson that after he got cancelled, the comments of his last video are mostly about fond memories and hoping he gets better instead of hating him.
He came back to the internet and he was, you know, he was kind of fine, but the thing about it is his viewership hasn't really recovered, and I honestly feel bad for him. A lot of people, like I've seen people on him, but I just kind of feel bad for him because if you go to his Twitch, he does stream. He used to get like thousands and thousands of people live, like 20, 30, 40, 50K live. Now he gets like maybe 1,000 live from what I've seen. And his videos, once again, they used to get millions and millions of views. Now they get 300,000, which is not the worst thing ever, but I just kind of feel bad for him that his channel hasn't recovered. 400 viewers on average, damn. Yeah, dude, that sucks. I feel bad for him, especially when he was riding so high. At least he can still make content and do what he likes, and he definitely makes a living from it, but I just kind of feel bad for the fact that he was at the top of the world, and then he just, due to his kind of poor handling of the controversy, he never really managed to get back to that. Maybe he will someday. That's not to say he couldn't ever get back there if he makes funny content consistently. I haven't seen his videos recently. Is his heart in it? Do they feel like good videos? I don't really know. You know what? I wish him the best. Hopefully Call Me Carson can figure it out and get back on top of YouTube. It would be a nice success story to see, because I don't think he's a terrible person. You know, he was just kind of a loser, and he needed to grapple with that, and when he got called a loser, he didn't know how to deal with that kind of situation. But hopefully he gets back to the days where DeviantArt is not safe. You know, 7 million views, 13 million views, 2 million views, 8 million views, 8 million views. Hopefully he can get back to at least like 1 million views per video. But also I think his content probably hasn't evolved that much since then. It seems like he just kind of still reacts to stuff in the same way, and maybe that's part of the reason why his channel hasn't picked up, because he hasn't evolved really. He's just kind of trying to recapture the old Call Me Carson magic. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Call Me Carson story, see where he goes.